Hello, welcome back to another little update. I've got you stuck in a funny spot, so really all you're seeing is my head and then our attic door, which is a really silly place to have you. But I'm just finished the most beautiful consultation with a mumma, new mumma, 1 month old baby, and I finished really early because this baby was just thriving. And sometimes all we need as new mamas is reassurance in what we're doing. And so here I am because I finished early and I've got some time to film a wee pregnancy update video, which I thought would always be fun. So I've got my phone here with some updates and things that I've been feeling and how I am doing. And all of a sudden I'm feeling pregnant. You know, it's only week five of pregnancy, and I feel pregnant. I'm feeling so many of the similar symptoms to what I felt with my last pregnancy. And I just feel like, I already feel like this little person is here, is growing, and it's so exciting. And yesterday I told our friend group, because we were meant to go to a spa day, and so I arrived and we were celebrating our friend. It was her birthday, and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't be going in the sauna. So that was quite funny, having to explain why I was sitting on the floor outside. So there you go. That was really lovely. But I told my sister this week, I've told all my best friends, I told Pete, and he's like, well, he obviously already knew, but he's beyond excited to tell his friends. So he was like, Kitty, I'm totally taking your cue on this. As soon as you tell your friends, then I'm going to feel like I can tell mine. And I was like, maybe wait. I'm curious, when did you guys feel that sense of, now we can tell people? Did you wait for like that 12, 13 mark? Did you wait until the end of the first trimester? Did you wait until you were showing? Did you wait until you had your first prenatal appointment? For me, I used to think very much like, oh, we like wait as long as possible. And after we had a loss first, and then we had Atticus. And after our loss, I definitely felt much more like compelled to share news earlier with those people in our friend group or in our family, in our circles, who I would want to know if we were to lose the baby and to support us then. So yeah, we've been telling a bit earlier this time around, and it's funny because it's interesting gauging people's reactions. Obviously, with my close friends, it's been almost all excitement, but I've definitely felt that tinge of like, oh, another baby, because this will be the fourth baby in our family, including my stepdaughter, and that somehow feels like we are crossing into like big family territory, which is really interesting to gauge people's reactions, even though I've been very verbal about not being done and wanting more. And yeah, it'll be really interesting to see the world's reaction, seeing as I'm sharing this a little bit more publicly this time. But it's been really fun to see people's faces, and I'm already feeling really well held, which is lovely. I think we've definitely been stepping more into like not necessarily parenting on our own, stepping or into like parenting as a community, which is really lovely, and it feels much more doable. I don't think, have as many babies if I didn't feel as supported. So that's really lovely. I've actually got a really interesting video coming up, just talking about having another kid, like having that second baby, having that third baby. What is the conversation that's going on internally, both what it looked like for me, but also I get a lot of questions, particularly on Instagram. If you aren't already following me over there, I'll leave the link in the bio down below. I do a Q&A on a Friday, and I oftentimes get questions of like, how do you know when you're done? How do you know when you want another baby? What does that look like? What sort of questions go through your head? And so for me, I thought I'd make a video all about it. There you go. So I thought I would dive into some of what my week has looked like, symptoms that I've been feeling, and how that has been. I've written them all down in my phone, in my notes app. I'm such a like notes person, but sorry for showing the light at you. So for me, I know I will forget them if I don't. The biggest thing this week that I have noticed that made me feel like so pregnant was so random, but my sense of smell. With my first pregnancy, I remember this like so clearly. It was like all of a sudden, it was like, I remember so distinctively, I was working as a nurse at the time in a rehab unit, and I was like photocopying somebody's notes or something, but I was at the photocopier and writing my own notes nearby somebody else photocopying, and I remember going, I smell the photocopier. I could smell like the heat of it, or I could smell like the ink and the warm paper, and that was like oh, you're pregnant, kitty. And this time round I have smelt things so strongly. So I use the wild, like natural deodorant, which has very, very light scent. It's like jasmine and vanilla, I want to say, or coconut and vanilla, something. But it's so strong to me that I can't even use it. I can also smell deodorant or detergent, so like clothing detergent, even though ours is again a natural one that's barely scented. I can also smell the toilet roll, which whoever knew that toilet roll was scented. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be mindful of that if we're trying to avoid fragrances at any point in our life. So that's been really funny, and that was so strong to me. I haven't had any like cravings or aversions to food or anything yet. I haven't been feeling any nausea, but I have been feeling like dizziness. Not blurred vision, but like I would see stars every now and then. And I haven't quite been able to figure out why, whether that is in relation to like food, how often I've been eating, if it's like blood sugar related, or just blood volume. You know, so we are creating so much of this beautiful blood to support our babies, and whether it's just directly related to that. I've also had fatigue, and then along with the fatigue, insomnia, which is so unfair because I'll be going to bed really early, like trying to mind myself, and not able to sleep. Or when I do go to sleep, I'll like wake up and I'm still needing to pee at nighttime, wake up, need to pee, not be able to go back asleep again. So that's been really difficult. And insomnia is one of those things that I do really struggle with in pregnancy, but at least now that I know what it is, I will just still focus on like resting my body. Whereas perhaps with other pregnancies, when I didn't understand it fully, I would have like gotten up and started like working or reading or doing something, which as we know is so unhelpful when we're trying to get back into that deep rest state. The other thing that I've been experiencing, which is also like fairly negative, is pregnancy dreams. And mine have not been nice. I have been having these really, I'm not going to go into detail because these are yucky dreams, but awful nightmares. Really vivid, like tangible. I wake up and I'm like drenched in sweat and I'm like, that felt so real. So I was talking it out with some of my friends there yesterday and just really trying to work through it and like write it out even and try and just do a little bit of just processing, like, you know, our subconscious is working on overdrive at nighttime. And so just being mindful of like what the last thought is that I have in my head at nighttime, what I'm exposing myself to, whether it's social media, whether it's what I'm talking to my husband about or reading. And then also just giving my space to like process whatever it is during the day. So that's been horrible. And with my last few pregnancies, I've had really intense pregnancy dreams, but they've always been like really wonderful. So I wake up and I'm like, oh, I wish I could go back into that dream. That was so much fun. You know, a lot of like flying and like swimming and other world stuff and lots of like meeting my baby. So lots of like birth dreams, which is so fun. And for me, I'm always like, I love giving birth. I would, even if I wasn't necessarily going to have more babies, I would love to give birth again. I cannot wait to give birth again this time. I'm considering hiring a videographer this time around, so that'll be really nice to have those memories, even though I do have fantastic photos from our last birth. I shared some of them on Instagram if you haven't seen them already, my birth with Archer. The next few things then are things that I probably mentioned last week. So my tummy is quite sensitive. Like it almost becomes sensitive straight away. So my go-to in terms of what I've been wearing, and I might move you down in a second, I've got you on a stand to show you my belly, is like really high-waisted things. So like high-waisted knits, high-waisted underwear, high-waisted pants, things that go right up over the belly, or really, really low slung things. I can't have anything that like cuts off in the middle. So like lots of big floaty dresses, lots of really loose waistbands have been my friend. I also feel like I might be showing, my body is just like, oh, we've done this before. We can create space for this baby. My uterus is just really letting go, which is really lovely. And also I'm like, ooh, I have worked really hard to get my muscle tone back between pregnancies. And I felt like really it took me the 2 years to get there, which is fine. But it's sort of interesting to watch that change so quickly. Our bodies are just so clever. And then the last two things that I wanted to talk about. Number one is how long it took me to get a bold positive. And I feel like only in the last week am I getting like a straight away second line. It's taken me a really long time for it to be so clear. I have done like a line progression chart, which maybe I'll show at some other point. I think I might have showed in another vlog. Just looking at how, you know, from I think day 6 DPO, days post-ovulation, how I started to see something, but it's taken a really long time to get that bold positive. And so I've been testing for far too long, just because I was curious, but also just for myself, I think being a pregnancy after loss, it's really nice to see the growth, to see that HCG level rising, and it's really lovely. Let me see what else. Continuing to have nursing aversion, although it's definitely eased off a wee bit. Nipples are still really sensitive. I haven't really been able to wear like bras or anything like too constrictive, or anything like rubbing against my nipples feels horrible. So like really soft materials has been very important. Nursing the boys at nighttime. During the day, daytime is like absolutely fine. Nursing at nighttime is like, I really have to make a video on the ways that I have managed that and the things that have really helped, because I'm so sure that so many mamas wean their babies before they feel ready to because of this nursing aversion, and I wanted to really talk about that. So keep your eyes out for a nursing aversion video coming up. And then the last thing, which I really wanted to talk about before I show you my little belly, is two things really. I've been having bleeding gums, which I've been really minding my teeth. I've been very aware of my like dental health since forever, really. I've always been quite good about it. But bleeding gums in pregnancy, just because of the hormones, you know, progesterone and relaxin in particular, and the way that they interact in our bodies to soften and relax things, means that we are more likely to have bleeding gums. So I've really been minding my mouth, but it's always not terribly nice to experience like blood when you're brushing your teeth. So that happened really early, and it's almost every single time I brush. And then the last thing as well is a feeling of anxiety. And I don't know whether it's particularly because I've just been having like a really busy week, or I think working for yourself, it's like a whole new layer of stress, particularly because I've really been back to work like straight away after all my other babies. I've very much been like, okay, push the baby out, make content from it. And, you know, like I was like filming birth stories and utilizing the time really like to share information and support and educate other women who were maybe going to go through it, who hadn't experienced it yet. And while I know that that is important in itself, I felt like I didn't get maternity leave. So I was back taking consults like 1 and 2 weeks postpartum with all of them, and I love my job and that is great, and I'm so lucky that I do. But this time I think I'd like to do things a little differently, take some time if I can. So naturally in my head I'm already like planning for the end of August, planning that I can take that time with our baby and our new family set up. And yeah, I've already been like thinking about how that might look. Atticus was also due to start in like a private Steiner school 1 or 2 days a week this year, and we've now actually decided to drop that idea. Because I feel like I will miss him and I want him home, and I'm more than happy to just do another year of like homeschooling activities, adventures, activities, you know, both with his homeschool friends, but also just with family and friends. And that felt like a really good decision, because I also would have been trucking around a newborn baby, because he would have been starting in September, so that's a very close call. And also financially, so we can have more money to do more adventures and things, so that's going to be nice. I'm feeling really good about that. But definitely, like, trying to plan maternity leave and plan how our life is going to look has given me a little bit of anxiety. And so I find that, like, my heart rate has really been up. I've been worried a little bit, probably where the nightmares are coming from, I know. So I need to work on that, start meditating again, start with my baths again, start doing the things that help me to just wind down. So let me see, can I put you somewhere else? Let me see if you're going to be able to stand up here without falling down, so that I can show you my little belly. So I'm back from the gym and I'm wearing these like lovely waffle leggings that come up all the way, and like a little cropped top, but I already feel like I've like bleached them. I already feel that I've got like a little poochy belly in there, just a little something. I think our bodies are so clever with how they remember. But that is a wee update for me. I hope that if you're also here, oh, I didn't read out my app stuff, jeez Louise. Okay, I'll leave you there. And I'm going to show you, so I've actually downloaded it's the Pregnancy Plus app, and this is what it is saying at 5 weeks pregnant. Okay. So it's saying that it's talking all about baby's spinal cord. It's talking about how baby's heart has started beating around day 36 of pregnancy. So that's more like next week, or the end of this week, next week, which is so exciting. Baby's spinal cord is beginning to form, and we know all about their neural tube starting to close. That's why it's so important with the folate. Externally, that baby is now shaped a little bit like a tadpole, with a bump at one end, which will develop into a head, and a tail will form the trunk. And the earliest signs of those arms and legs, which will soon be wriggling around, can even be seen as tiny bulges on the side of their body. And your body is also growing a thin layer of skin to cover everything up. And our body, so that was baby's body, and your body is doing a lot more than it's used to. You may find your energy levels are dwindling. I feel like I haven't quite reached that point yet. Your breasts are growing. Your bra may feel like it is shrinking, because we lay down more breast tissue, more lactation tissue with every pregnancy. You may be developing some strong cravings for various foods. Some women who experience morning sickness will lose a bit of weight in the first trimester. I haven't been feeling sick this time, but I think it's because I'm really nourishing myself well. If you're curious how we support in that trying to conceive phase, both with foods but also with vitamins and minerals and that sort of thing, do check out my previous videos. But as long as weight gain is healthy, it's nothing to worry about. Frequent urination, yes, and then some women will experience headaches and mood swings. And it's just talking about health tips. Avoid greasy and fatty foods, crackers, for morning sickness. I have a whole video on morning sickness. I'm now thinking, I don't agree with everything in this app, which is really interesting. I do have a whole video where I talk about nausea, because I was very nauseous in my last pregnancy, and how we manage that. And I would actually say, yes, crackers can be helpful because of the sodium, so the salt, but actually eating small amounts of protein has been shown to be much more beneficial. So I'll leave the link to that video down below if you feel like that would be helpful for you. And I'm just going to leave this one here because it's getting to 20 minutes long. I can waffle. Ooh. That's a stand dropping down. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the week 6 update.